everybody. I'm here to talk to you about the history of stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is done by a comedian who recites a group of humorous stories, jokes, or one-liners. They also could use props, music, and magic. Some use ventriloquism. I'd like to tell a story about ventriloquism. Last year, after last year's talent show, I was thinking of dabbling in ventriloquism. I was thinking of sending away for a kid and all, and they said anybody with a mouth can do ventriloquism, as long as you can talk. Yeah, right. It's extremely hard. I hate to say this, but I think these ventriloquist companies are trying to make dummies out of us. Stand-up comedy is it's a different art. It's where there's no props, there's no producers, no sets, just a person in front of an audience trying to get laughs. He either gets it or he doesn't. To most people, the majority of people, this is a nightmare, not a career aspiration. This history goes back. Stand-up comedy goes back to the, about the minstrel. The minstrel being the first form of comedy is dated back, and but in New York it was first recorded as vaudeville, when the vaudeville shows and burlesque shows. Vaudeville, what they did is they had 9 featured acts headed around a headliner. But I hate to think what their drinking tab would be that night. But comedy evolved through film, radio, and television. People have told me I have the perfect face for radio. But some of the modern founders of stand-up comedy go back to Moms Mabley, Bob Hope. We thank him for the memories. Milton Berle, who's known to steal a few jokes here and there, and George Burns. I like to do my George Burns. Gracie, after the show, I like to smoke a good Casa Vegas cigar, Gracie. How about a stogie for this old fogey? Thank you. Thank you. But comedy evolved also in the 50s with the mediums of TV, with Ed Sullivan's Really Big Shoe, and people made, a lot of them made their big break, also in the Borscht circuit. Back then, the Catskills, very big. Let's put it this way, I wasn't around then, but if they had it today, the closest I would get to the Borscht circuit is when I eat the soup. Thank you. But through the Mort Saul was one of the first, and Lenny Bruce were pioneers. Mort Saul was the first one to sit down and talk about politics. Lenny Bruce, who got arrested for controversial humor, and George Carlin too, into the 70s with acts such as Richard Pryor, who expanded on it, and a career by 2 comedians trying to revolve their career, Buddy Hackett and Rodney Dangerfield. I'll tell you, I get no respect. My wife, she's such a terrible cook. We pray after the meal. Thank you. But the 70s, it got really big, and then it kind of hit the skits comedy, but until today, it got a big revival with Amy Schumer and Sarah Silverman. Most comedies are done in nightclubs, theaters, but some are done mostly, and of course, traditional comedy clubs. But I think they should be done in bowling lanes. That would be right up my alley. And most of my jokes are going down the gutter. For you hecklers, you could spare me the insults, and if you have the urge to insult me, just split. but those are done on cruise ships, which brings me to my cruise last year with my first time with Laura May and Norman, and I had a great time and all, and I learned something. They have cruises to nowhere. It's where people who have never been on a cruise, they sail just like a regular cruise. They drink, they eat a lot. They gamble, shop tax free. The only difference is that they don't dock at any port. But I think it's ridiculous to spend all that money to go on a cruise to go to nowhere. If I want to go to nowhere, I'll just go to New Jersey. I once spent a whole week overnight there. But also, Norman and Laura May had a long list of rules and regulations, about 12 to 14 pages, but they didn't really adhere to any of them. Just the two rules. There was no drinking, and there was no gambling. But when you think about it, after that, is there anything left? Which brings me to the sports and all. They also had swimming with the dolphins there. With the tamest thing. These are the tamest dolphins you'd ever swim with, sort of like the football team. And you know the difference between Miami Dolphins and a dollar bill? I'll tell you the difference. At least with the dollar bill, you get 4 quarters back. And my brother's a big Dolphin fan.
I relate.
And okay, but I also was on a baseball team this year. We were just awful. A softball team. We lost every game. We lost one game 35-1. The other team would stop scoring runs out of sheer exhaustion from running the bases. I mean, we were pathetic. Just terrible. And yeah. And also, I just want to talk about one more thing about this year's. It's a big election year. I might as well talk about it. My choices was either that or the heartbreak of psoriasis. But it's more like hemorrhoids because both candidates are a pain in the butt. Thank you. And this is the weirdest election year since you got to go back to 1974 when President Ford, who took over for Nixon, who was known to be clumsy, bumped into him, and Richard Nixon said, "Pardon me, Gerald, thank you."